So speaking of things taking a little more time,
Yeah.
I have to ask, as you and the team were reviewing the status of co-op and Forge, was there ever discussion about potentially delaying the entire game and taking more
Yep.
time
Yep.
to get these in first?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about doing that, but where we landed was, Halo Infinite is a live game, so it isn't really ever done.
Halo Infinite's campaign has left many unturned stones, obviously leaving room for more DLC coming in the near future. But with the Season 2 roadmap being delayed and the uncertainty around Halo Infinite in general, I wanted to discuss in today's video ways I think Halo Infinite's campaign DLC will work, and probably how it should work, and how it might be released to us in the future. Leave your suggestions down below in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe for more content coming on the channel. I'm going to be looking at branching out a little bit and covering lore from other games also. Destiny being one that I'm taking a liking to at the moment. So let me know down below if you'd like to see that, as the lore in Destiny, very similar to Halo, is so cool and very in-depth. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Halo Infinite's campaign DLC. Something that I want so badly right now, and so does everyone in the community for Halo. One of the issues I find with Halo is that yes, there are loads of books, comics, novels, TV shows that might launch and add additional lore to the franchise and the universe in general, but the main base game is what we want the lore from and what we look forward to the most. We as Halo fans don't get regular campaign drops, and the most advanced lore in the universe comes from a fully fledged campaign, and that's what we do the most videos around, that's what the community loves to go into detail about, and that's where we get our enjoyment from, which again is amazing when the game releases. In the past couple of months, I've had a blast on Halo Infinite, deciphering everything within the campaign and just understanding things in a little bit more detail. But what happens when that's finished? You then have to wait another few years, and in Infinite's case, 6 years on the back of Halo 5 for a new campaign or addition in the story's lore, and more specifically, the Master Chief's and Cortana's journey, or in Infinite's case, the Weapon and Chief's journey. Now, what we have to remember is that Halo Infinite is branded as a live service game. That goes for the multiplayer side of things and campaign.
Halo Infinite is a live game, so it isn't really ever done. You know what I mean? It's going to progress and evolve from season to season. We talk about launch being the beginning of that journey, but to have a beginning, you need to pick a moment and actually begin, So ultimately we decided we've been working on this game for a really long time. Our fans have been waiting for this game for a really long time. With solo, campaign, and our first season of free-to-play multiplayer in really good shape for holiday, we didn't want to delay anymore. Let's get started, and we'll continue to evolve from there, season to season.
The campaign is the premium product in Halo Infinite, but it's still classified as a live service game and has live service elements. So, with that in mind, how will campaign DLC work in Halo Infinite? Okay, so I know that I do this a lot in videos and comparing the two, but I want to compare Halo Infinite and its possible campaign DLC rollouts to Destiny and the way that Destiny does their expansions. Now, looking at this from a broader perspective, Destiny 2's base game released back in September 2017 for $60, and it's now free. I'm still very salty about buying it, and did Activision give me my money back? I think that says it all, really. Anyway, my point is that the game had its first DLC drop in December 2017, called The Curse of Osiris. That was the first major expansion for the game, and a DLC released 3 months later after the game just launched? That is sick. After this DLC dropped, the next 3 DLCs were scheduled literally straight after another. Again, we had Warmind in May 2018, we had Forsaken in September 2018, and then Shadowkeep 1 year later in 2019. Past this as well, we had Beyond Light in November 2020. However, you got to remember and take into account that around the Shadowkeep time and after this, and between Beyond Light, were around the time where Bungie and Activision did split, so DLC content was a little bit sparse during that time period. After that point as well, we had The Witch Queen that came out in February 2022, and then Lightfall, which is due in 2023. So what's my point here? Destiny's DLC started fast. It kept the community engaged when the game was only 3 months old. built a base for its lore and the story within the first 3 DLC packs, all which came out in just over a year's time from the game's initial launch. Now yes, Destiny is a completely different game to Halo in the way that it works, and Destiny is all online, and there's no set single player story missions like the way we do things in Halo. But this is how I believe Halo Infinite should have been done when the game first launched. How to keep a community already engaged on the back of a story, especially with one like Infinite's, where there are so many questions. My biggest fear is that if 343 leave it way too long, that the community will just become disinterested. Us hardcore Halo fans will always be there to decipher things and play through the campaigns and just enjoy where the story goes, but the more casual fans that loved the campaign the first time round may be less inclined or less bothered to jump back in for DLC, especially if they charge money for it. Now, on to the point. Does Halo need 3 DLCs a year? Does Halo Infinite need 3 campaign DLCs straight after the initial game launch in December? Well, thinking about it in the grand scheme of things, March time, in the sense of it's 3 months after launch, would have been around the same time that Destiny 2 received its first DLC pack. As of thinking right now, do you think that Halo Infinite should have a DLC, or would it benefit from having a DLC in March right now? That doesn't have to be a full 8 to 10 hour campaign, but it can just be a new part of the story that we can jump into Zeta Halo and explore. The way that Destiny does things is that it will bring out the expansion, and it will give you things that you can do within that expansion to expand the lore of the universe, with a big boss fight typically being the thing that you do at the end. But throughout you have different cutscenes, you get to know characters on an emotional level and learn to love or hate those characters as well. Halo could do the exact thing. I actually think that Halo is way more equipped to do this and to pull this off than Destiny is. The lore within Halo allows the Zeta Halo ring to expand itself more and more over time. The ring needs to rebuild itself, and that's what it was doing throughout the entirety of the base game. It only makes sense for that to be completely rebuilt come, say, the end of Season 1 of the campaign or Season 2. For me, this is the perfect way to keep us engaged and interested in the story in general, and the perfect way to pump out DLC content. Now, this doesn't have to be season after season every 3 months. We can have the base game season, or Season 0 as we're in right now, and just have different parts of the ring every other month just show up. There doesn't necessarily have to be a main purpose to them just yet, but it's a way for us to actually explore these new areas, give us new content and things to jump back into the campaign for, and maybe find new things here and there and keep us re-engaged in that story. Alongside this as well, there could be new characters that we meet, new side quests and stories, and maybe even new FOBs that we can take and capture, maybe even new weapons, new equipment, things like this to get us excited and ready for the new DLC drop or seasonal drop for the campaign DLC. But we do know from some of the data mine leaks that Halo Infinite's DLC might work very similar to Destiny's expansion rollouts, just named a little differently, and here's how. So a few weeks ago we found in some of the pre-release builds of Halo Infinite that are floating around the internet at the moment, that Halo Infinite's campaign DLC will in fact come in seasons. The base game being is what we have so far and what we've played already, and past that would be Season 1, and then Season 2, endless. Destiny 2's DLC releases, judging from Shadowkeep until Nightfall, are pretty much 1 year apart as of now, give or take, sometimes 2 years apart, but I think they may have been due to the Activision issues with Bungie at the time. These are pretty much classed as seasonal events in the grand scheme of things, and Destiny is a live service game with expansions that come out which you have to buy, and from that point on, that expansion spanning over the year can be the events going forward, giving you new content during that year's time and new additions to the story and multiplayer as well, along with things like different loot, different armor, and different locations to discover in the story. Things like different characters and side quests you can also explore as well within that year period, waiting until the next expansion. Halo Infinite will pretty much follow the same path. It will start with the base game, what we're playing right now. DLC 1 will be the first season, new content, vehicles, armor, weapons, new locations on the map, and again the additions of the story. The length of that at the moment is unclear, but if they're doing a DLC every year, why not it be a full campaign? I mean, what else are the campaign guys really working on? So if it is a yearly thing, which I'd be pretty happy if it was, and then along the lines with that we get additional things building up to the new campaign DLC, is where we get the brand new expansion every single year. Instead of trailers every so often we get for the new story, why not give us in-game events within the campaign on Zeta Halo, building up to this point? That, in my opinion, is the way that 343 should go with this, and it would make the story way more engaging and feel like it's alive at the moment. Now, if we got regular DLC for Halo Infinite, yearly for example as mentioned, this is the first Halo that we would have this done for in general, ever pretty much. Regular content and lore for the game is absolutely huge to keep expanding on, but 343 need to do it right. We can't have months, even years apart on a product that's labelled a live service, else people are just gonna get bored. And that also goes for multiplayer as well. With Bungie being acquired by Sony, expect even more polished DLC drops from them as well, which is just going to ever grow the Destiny brand. But the thing is with Destiny, they drop content and new lore leading up to new expansions all the time. It's not just silent leading up to the next expansion like we have right now. We have a very quiet period at the moment with Halo, the community getting a little bit worried, a little bit annoyed in some senses as well, but there's always that form of some new drops, updates, and things like that are going on in Destiny. People are jumping in and experiencing new parts to tell the story every other month or so. As mentioned, not full DLCs, just different things to do and explore. And it's a really good way to keep the community on their toes and ready. Halo Infinite would benefit so much from this, having a main release each year, but throughout, give us smaller things to keep us thinking and keep us on our toes, wondering what's going to happen next. Maybe over time things could just appear on Zeta Halo. Maybe things can just disappear. Ships can appear, live events can happen. Just mental things like this that keep us engaged and ready to understand what's going to happen next. We want to decipher things, we want to dive into the lore, we want to understand what's going on. Live events in the campaign, I think, would do that very, very nicely. In 2022, Halo needs to be more than just a campaign live service and expansion game. It needs things to keep it excited. What if all of the remaining Halo rings just teleported together to the lesser arc for no reason at all? And when you're on Zeta Halo, you look up in the sky and you can just see all of the Halo rings just surrounding Zeta Halo. But we've got no reason as to why that's happened. Maybe we get a live event in Zeta Halo where we jump in and the weapon says that she's picking something up. Sooner rather than later, the ring just goes through the slipspace portal, and before we know it, we're surrounded by the rest of the Halo rings. We don't know why, we don't know why they've been teleported all up to the Ark, but these are the sorts of events that are leading up to the following expansion, and this is what keeps the community on their toes and keeps them guessing as well. This would benefit the Halo community massively, and for me it would just prevent the community getting bored and annoyed of there being lack of campaign content. Even if there's no full-blown story, if there's things that are happening around us, it's always going to keep us on our toes and always going to keep us thinking. What if in the background of Zeta Halo we see some new biomes being constructed nearby? We can't go over there yet, but we can just see it happening, and we don't really know why. What if we see unusual activity over there? What if we see a cloud of sentinels just all flying over to this one part of the map that's being rebuilt? Why would that be the case? Again, we don't know the reason for it, but it keeps us on our toes. Things happening live is what will make Halo Infinite and Zeta Halo feel like it's happening right now. 343, please give us something. I am losing my mind here, and I think so at the community is. Guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed today's video or agree with any of the points that I made during it. Subscribe for more content coming to the channel as well. Speak soon, guys, and take care.